Yeah, it's time again to bring us back the Uneducated Fight Club. You know me as Chris America. We come to you live every single fight night, pay-per-view before. Well, we've missed the last 2 months here on 12 Ounce
So
Sports
we have
Radio.
actually probably only come to you one time so far. I believe one time.
No, I mean, we've been live on the show
Okay,
several times.
yes.
And we're actually recording this time.
Hey, all right.
Jordan, what shirt are you wearing tonight?
I'm wearing the Khabib shirt.
And are you going by Jordan Wrestling?
Just
Jordan
Jordan.
Boxing?
Just Jordan.
Just Jordan. JJ.
My name's Jordan. No, just Jordan. You can call me Jackass, brain damage, but not JJ.
What about Double J?
Nope.
Okay. Just checking. It's good to be back. I'm excited.
Welcome back, Grandpa.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Grandpa Craig back on the mic.
We got some good fights tonight.
So we missed the last two. Which fights did we miss?
You know, they come and they go, and they seem so important when they're happening because they're all that's going on in that week. But then it's hard to remember.
Yeah, I
even
really
the last
can't
one,
remember.
let alone the last 2 or 3. The last one was not the biggest. Like it's been every other.
Wasn't it the Woodley one?
It was Woodley, but you know, Woodley versus.
That was great.
What did
What
we?
was his name again?
Awesome,
What was his name
man.
again?
What did we watch in
Stardom.
Daytona? Which fight was that? Oh, that was the whatchamacallit, Mighty Mouse fight. We
Mighty
watched
Mouse,
Demetrius
yeah.
lose.
Yep. That was a little crazy.
That was a big one.
Yeah. And Woodley last month. That's because you were out of town, right? You were doing something.
His friend came.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
yeah.
friend came into town. Had to go spend time with the old Ski.
Elsky, huh?
Linsky.
Yeah, man, that was a
Sounds like a
great
movie
fight
character.
too. Woodley, man, just the
Pummeled
Woodley
him.
we used to know and love, man. He was awesome. He was back.
And now this fight's not so big. It's kind of a down card. Nobody big's really fighting in it. There's 2 unknown named guys. Is it like Khabib and like Conor?
And this is
Conor, right?
This is clearly bigger than the last big fight, right? This is clearly bigger than it was DC versus Stipe.
Stipe?
But
yeah.
There's a good chance that this is going to be the number 1 selling pay-per-view that
They
UFC
say
has
that.
ever had. I'm not saying it will
No,
because
and
they've
it's
had a
just-
lack of promotion. I get it, but I'm just telling you what they're saying.
But at the same time, I would be interested to see like if UFC is a bigger machine now than they were 3 years ago or 2 years ago when an event of this size wouldn't have sold as many.
I think they got $10 million worth of promotion when Conor McGregor went nuts backstage with a dolly.
Probably, yeah.
I think
If not more.
that put everybody on alert, and everybody's just kind of been waiting for this fight to happen.
It changed
since then.
everything. It had to have. Yeah.
And it's, I think we touched on this before. It's like, Connor's on the fight, so now everybody's talking about it. You can't, every sports channel, ESPN, Fox, CBS,
Right.
are all talking about it. Whereas, when it's other people fighting,
For sure.
And Connor just
sure.
has that draw, man.
He does, but the thing is this one is a beautiful thing because it's like it was wrestling almost. It's like they went and told a story over a period of years because they have this video footage and these like tweets and stuff like that of them being friends at first and taking some pictures together. Yeah, like Khabib,
Did not even know.
Khabib tweeted to him about getting a shirt. It was friendly back and forth.
Oh,
there's
I remember.
A picture,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a picture of them together. I believe at the UFC pay-per-view before they had their first run-in backstage, which then, so that was the next thing, also on video. Then the next event, the event was, I guess, a signed contract by Khabib, taken by Conor against Eddie. Yeah, that's that earlier that night with his with his main event title shot having been stolen out from under him. He beat, I forget who right now, but maybe Michael Johnson that night. I forget.
Okay.
I forget. And in his interview, we didn't know it was gonna be such a big thing at the time, but he calls out Conor. Bring me your chicken or whatever he said that night. Come with me, your chicken.
You do it pretty good, Habib.
And I love the chicken. And so it's like they had these events in the can on the video to show the storyline.
I forgot about the friendly thing. I don't know if they were friends, but they had friendly.
And then Conor wins the title that night, I believe, in the division Khabib's in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah. So he took his title
it was
shot.
against Eddie. Yeah.
So he took his title shot. Wasn't even in that division until then, right?
No, he was in the
because
division below.
Nate forced him into that division, though.
Well, no. You're right though. He was the weight class below.
Yeah. So but he had fought those 2 fights in that. Is Nate Diaz in that class?
They actually fought higher.
Okay, so it had almost nothing to do with it, but that drew him higher. Then he went down, I guess, a click for the title shot against Eddie, which was stealing. I guess it was a signed contract. I haven't seen the contract, but I saw the image of it.
I don't know anything about that, but I do remember, them Connor talking about how, oh, you were sucking my dick trying to get a shirt signed,
Right.
and then now all of a
Right.
sudden, so
Totally.
yeah.
But now I would like to see if Conor had tweeted any pictures with him with Khabib because he wanted the social proof that he had been with Khabib when he was friendly with Khabib. So I don't know if that exists.
You know what my favorite plot to this fight, and I heard this, and I think Chris hates when I do this, but I got to give credit to was it Golic and Wingo? I heard it on. I think it was Golic Jr. comparing this to Rocky 3. And this is Rocky 3 when you think about it. You got Sylvester Stallone, got rich, made his championship, was living fat, living in the mansions, and then he kind of, were taking some easy fights. And not that, Conor's been taking easy fights, because as Chris will definitely point out, he hasn't been taking any fights. Yeah. But, living the high life, and then here comes Clubber Lang, Mr. T over here, and just torches him.
Okay, so did you say Rocky 3 or
Rocky 3?
Okay, so you did not say Rocky 4. I was going wrong there.
No, but you could go Rocky 4 too, because you got the Russian versus the American.
No, but in the end, your two storylines depend on Khabib being the bad guy, and I don't see it that way.
I mean, he is Chechen?
I believe
close to being
I
Russian?
don't think he calls himself that. He's from the Caucasus, and they say that like Desheshtian.
Yeah, I don't.
Like a D word.
Yeah.
A region, I believe. I forget.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Because I guess I was listening, maybe there's like 2,000 people in his city, and they have 20 Olympic wrestlers.
Yeah.
I was listening to some podcast.
That's pretty much all they do.
So it's like it's that town or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is in like the Iowas of the world, that Midwest. That's all they do is they just wrestle and become amazing wrestlers.
Totally.
If you want to see great wrestling, just watch Big Ten wrestling.
So we just got in a couple visitors, some co-hosts, if you will. We got my nephew Jacob here. He's sitting in the chair wrong. It's a little weird. He's never going to be able to talk that way.
Though, that works though.
What was your name? Jacob. Okay, so there you go. We got Jacob and Jacob.
There we go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah.
Something happened to your. What's going on with the mics? Hold on.
Are you guys recording?
My headphones are going out too.
Yeah, my headphones.
Oh, that's what it is. It's the headphones.
Yeah, we're still there. So you guys want to say hi?
What's up, everybody? Did you make sure you were recording this time?
Yeah, we're recording. We got everything rocking and rolling. We got some good fights up tonight. We also have Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis. Now that's for the next challenger, right? For this belt.
Could be, because he's still got Diaz Poirier fighting, and so we're not really sure, who's going to get it. But I would say if Ferguson wins, he's definitely going to get the championship fight because he was the interim champ. Let's see here what I put down for this. So Showtime versus El Kukui. And truly, the fight's not getting enough hype. This is going to be a fun fight. Even the fights that Pettis has lost have always been fun. And Pettis has been fighting the best guys. He went on a cold streak, but he was facing, Eddie Alvarez, Rafael Dos Anjos, and Edson Barboza. Since then, he won 3 out of his last 5, and the only 2 he lost to was Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. So, he's always a tough opponent, always game, former champion. But then you got El Kukui, Tony Ferguson, who is just, a beast. He's coming off a LCL injury. Not really even sure what that is, but you probably do.
I always assume it's just kind of somewhere like an ACL injury. It's not good.
Yeah, it's some kind of knee injury, and he's coming back after 6 months. So I don't know if that's too early or not, but definitely expect Ferguson to win this fight.
Sorry, we're doing some technical things here.
Yeah,
we're all set now.
Breaker.
So who do you expect to win this fight?
Me, I'm going with Ferguson for sure.
Ferguson for sure.
Yeah.
And if Conor wins, do we see a title defense?
Oh, that's such a good question, man. I would love to say yes, but obviously we have no idea. The thing that you hate the most about him, I can't deny that. He doesn't defend his belt so far. I would hope that we see a title defense against Ferguson. I think it'd be a great fight.
But it's doubtful, probably. He doesn't defend his belt because it just hasn't coincided with a fight that he liked. If it did, it would, and it doesn't. Not with Ferguson, probably.
Even with Khabib, if Khabib wins, I don't know that he fights. He might retire. If Khabib wins, he might retire. This is coming from Josh Thompson, who is one of his Josh the Punk Thompson. He's an MMA fighter.
Did you hear the interview though? Did you hear the context of that? I'm interested because I didn't.
Yeah, no, I did listen to it, and he's saying that because he's such a family, Habib's such a family guy, and he's just after he wins this fight, he could just be done.
Okay.
And he just wants to go back and do his family thing. And that's not to say it's going to happen, but Josh Thompson is one of the leaders in the AKA camp. And,
For sure.
he
It just
knows.
I mean,
depends
that'd be a young retirement, 30 years old.
Yeah,
It
but
just depends
he'll
on-
retire on top. Sorry.
But we have no, other than that one quote, and I feel like time after time a quote comes out like this that can be taken seriously for all these different logical reasons. It just proves to be absolutely nothing, or it turns out to be something. So, like, bottom line is it depends on whether he was just conjecturing or whether he was saying, this is what Khabib tells me. You know? I could say all kinds of things about what Chris is going to do tomorrow.
Oh, don't
You know?
ever assume what I'm going to do tomorrow. I still don't even know what I'm going to
Exactly.
do tomorrow. That's why when people invite me out, I'm like, when is it? 2 weeks from now? I'll let you know, like, that Thursday before what I got going.
or the morning before.
The morning before.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that's gonna be a great fight though. I can't wait.
I think I see no reason to assume Khabib. I think we should just go along with our future plans as if Khabib is
30
gonna
would
fight
be
again.
too. If he might take a break, like he might say, I'm going to take a year off. But I don't see a guy at 30 years old that is as good as he is. He's just going to continuously build on his name. I mean, you beat Conor McGregor, you become the next prize fighter. You build yourself up for that. I mean, you start making. You're not going to make Conor McGregor money, but people will now know who Khabib is.
Look, I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just
No,
saying
no,
what
I
Josh
know.
Thompson said.
Nobody's
you know?
saying that you said that.
No, I know. I'm saying so. Either way,
know.
there might not be that next match. You know, who knows? But I think Conor versus Poirier, if Poirier wins, or Conor versus Ferguson, would be incredible. And because I'm just going back to, will Conor defend if he wins? I'm not saying that Conor's going to win, although that's what I believe.
I gotta say, I was just watching the Mendez fight earlier today, and I saw Conor get hit a few times, like when he was on the ground, just elbow after elbow, and split open above his eye. And I was thinking, you know what, man? It puts it in perspective. I wouldn't fight. I just wouldn't fight. Like no matter how much I like, even if I was Conor. And like I love this, I had just seen his interviews. He's really pumped up this week. He's back. I just saw all of his fights. So every time he's out there, he gets to at the end of the fight run and jump onto the edge of the cage and like bask in the adulation of the people. It's a fucking rush, right? He loves it. And I just saw him talk about it many times, and I saw him do it. At the same time, getting hit in the head, be like, okay, like I like that stuff, but I'm not gonna get hit in the head like that with elbow after elbow after elbow by these trained professional elbow throwers.
Do we want to go over quickly about the other fights so we can get on to more Conor
let's do
Khabib,
it.
and then we'll get on to your
do it.
boy
I
back
just
in
wanted-
action because we got to talk about John Jones. That's
What's up with
coming
that
up.
main event with the girls.
The who? Oh,
They made the main event of the big Madison Square Garden. Do you have any insight on this? They made the big main event. It's very disappointing. It's very let down. Especially after
Shevchenko
Chael.
versus Eubanks. Here's what happened. Shevchenko, was supposed to fight for the belt against Nico Montana, and she couldn't make weight. And so, Shevchenko, then they were trying to get her to fight Joanna Champion, and Joanna didn't want, then they all of a sudden they agreed to that bout, and then they needed a main event, so they tried to move it up, and Joanna wasn't going to be ready yet. Shevchenko was already ready because she was ready a month ago when she was supposed to be fighting for the belt. So basically now it's going to be Sijara Eubanks, who should have been in that. I don't know if you guys watch it, but Nico Montana fought the Happier Warrior. I can't remember her name for the belt, and the Happy Warrior was there because Sijara Eubanks also couldn't make weight.
The final of the show.
Yeah. And so whoever won that was going to be a championship.
Right.
So Eubanks kind of deserves
So
it.
the
in that
champion is
division.
gone.
There's no champion right now.
It's the woman who didn't make weight last fight.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Yeah, there's no champion
gone
in that
from the
division.
UFC?
No, not from the UFC. She's just not
Stripped to the title.
Yeah, because she didn't fight for over a year.
Right.
And
So now they're
she should have at least gotten a year and a half.
a fight between.
she doesn't bring in the numbers Connor does, baby.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's just like a triangle involving two weight missers.
Now, Christopher was telling me somebody else got their belt stripped because of a knee injury or something.
That's El Kukui.
Who's
We
that?
just
Who
talked
just
about
talked
him,
about?
Tony
Okay. Sorry, I
Ferguson.
was
Yeah,
looking something
He
up.
was the interim champ. Him and Khabib were supposed to fight. He tripped on the stage during the press conference. That's when the whole bus thing happened.
Okay.
We were supposed to see a Khabib versus Tony Ferguson fight. That was the main fight. And but anyway, so let's get back to the rest of the card. Starting out the pay-per-view, I believe is going to be Michelle Waterson versus Felice Herrig.
Pretty bad records there.
They're, dude,
Fillers?
they're pioneers. No, they really are some pioneers from the
Okay.
women's division. They're really good. They're both in the top 10. But here's the thing, whoever loses this fight, Whoever loses this fight is
You can't
probably...
take Jordan Noah.
I
He's
know,
over
right?
here talking to other people in the room right into the mic while you're trying to give our fans
I just
the
can't control my
hard-hitting
mouth sometimes.
information we need on Michelle Watterson and Felice Herring.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways, they're both like 5 to 10, you know, and whoever wins this fight will probably be able to make one more run to try to get the championship, and whoever loses is probably going to be that stepping stone for everybody else the rest of her career, you know. But it should be a fun fight. Both of them are hot. I think people tell me that Felice kind of looks like a man in the face, but I don't care. I think they're both hot. And Michelle Watterson, her nickname's a Karate Hottie. You know?
I know. Yeah, they both are hot.
Yeah, so that's
So,
just me.
so your breakdown on the fight is they're both hot.
They're both hot,
and
and
they're
it'll be a-
pioneers
and
of the
karate
sport.
hot. That's awesome.
Before I went to the hot, I did say it was going to be a good fight. Yeah,
Okay.
I did say that. I have no idea who's going to win this one. Michelle's won the last three of her last 5, and Felice has won 4 of her last 5. So, you know, who knows who's going to win that one? But whoever wins will have a chance to still, you know, fight for the championship, in my opinion. And the other one's pretty much done. So it's kind of a important fight for the two of them.
So I got to point out right here that the listeners can't see this. You have these well typed out notes.
Yeah.
Jordan over here has this scribble on a notepad, and my notes are this beer.
Yeah,
School of
exactly.
tyranny.
So we'll go to the next fight. You got Oven St. Peru, OSP versus Dominic Reyes. Again, should be a fun fight. Reyes is an up-and-comer, and he's looking to take the next step and, you know, against OSP.
So is this the put-over fight?
This could be, yeah. This definitely could be. OSP is one of those guys who, you know, he looks good for a couple fights, and then out of the blue, he's going to look like complete horseshit, you know. He always hangs around the 5 to 10 ranking, though, OSP. So, you know, it should be a good one. We'll probably see a finish in the fight, no matter what. OSP does a lot of finishes, whether submission or knockout. Reyes has finished 8 of his 9 opponents in the first round. And the other one, he's won by decision. He's 9-0.
So OSP is kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs of the. They're always like hanging around. They'll do well sometimes, and then they'll kind of drop it to some teams, and they just never can get over that hump. Is that what OSP is?
I can't say that because we got a new Kansas City
Okay,
Chiefs
but like
this
the
season.
old
Yeah,
Kansas City
yeah, I
Chiefs.
guess. Yeah. You could say that.
No,
Yeah,
man.
they
Patrick
could.
Mahomes is the best, but this is a UFC fighting show.
Yeah, so we'll get off of that. The next one, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis.
Why's he
versus
got to be black?
I'm looking forward
Alexander
to this.
Volkov. Probably because he's black. I'm just saying. You know, I mean, it's
So
it's-
racist.
You know, when you're black and you nickname yourself the Black Beast, you're going to
Please-
be the Black Beast. You know, it is what it is.
Please send your emails to.
The question is,
Grandpa,
why'd you get
off my
so
lawn.
sensitive about the black and not
Why are
the beast?
you
I mean,
so
he's
sensitive?
calling a human being an animal.
A black person, an animal.
It's
God,
double.
you're so racist.
Yeah, you guys are terrible.
Bottom line is, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Derek fight because the last time we saw him, he was an embarrassment to himself through his own words, and he felt so bad about it. So he's obviously coming out looking for a big. Even then, before that fight started, he was saying he needs a big win, a convincing win to get a shot at a title. And
Chris America, do you even know who the Black Beast
he
is?
got the least convincing win ever.
Yeah, Derek Lewis.
No, but do you know what Jordan's
No.
talking about right now? Do you remember
I'm
the
the
fight?
uneducated part of this.
I
fight.
know. Do you remember against Francis Ngannou where they threw
Was
like
that
5?
boring ass fight?
They threw 5
Why is
punches
this
the
guy
whole
fighting
fight.
again?
No, because he's a great
No.
guy.
Fight from last time? I was here?
Yes,
Yes,
probably.
yes.
But
No
it's-
wonder
but-
why he's fighting
No,
so
but-
soon. He never got punched in the
It's
face.
not so soon. No, but I guess that that was unexpected of him. Although he's a
Yeah.
defensive fighter, so he's kind of depending on the guys to come at him. But so much was expected of him, and he was so humble after that he knows that his career is in,
He
career is in
show
jeopardy
up.
because
I'm gonna be so mad if this guy. This
didn't
was the
throw punches.
second worst fight I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, but
This will be terrible if it does. But I mean, here's
No,
the thing.
the Nagano fight was the second worst fight of my life.
What was the first?
That CM Punk fraud of
No,
a fight.
the
At
Nagano-
least punches were thrown.
yeah.
Okay? Nagano and Black Beast was worse. I don't care what you
Nagano,
say.
I believe that the
like
Nagano
watching
fight
a
was actually. I don't
punching
think it was the
bag
worst fight. It was
workout.
actually kind of interesting in that so little happened that it was a memorable kind of enjoyable memory.
Are you talking about Punk or?
No, I'm talking about Nagano and Derek.
Okay,
Lewis.
let's ask
like-
Jacob. Let's ask Jacob what he thought about that.
Yeah.
The fight sucked.
Okay, but Jacob, do you remember anything about any of the other fights?
I remember watching,
The main event, maybe. But other
But
than
did
that,
you remember the name Derek Lewis after you left that night?
No, and you
No,
didn't.
you didn't. Because that's how you remembered the fight, but you don't remember the
But
people in the
he
fight.
doesn't do a podcast.
I just remember.
I do a podcast and I didn't remember that.
I just remember-
because it was so forgettable. I said I'm not going to remember these two people's names.
Dude, I don't remember anybody's name. Like, I'm pretty much an idiot, you know, and I remembered it.
Pretty
It
much?
was so easy to remember his name. He was the star of this 3-round craziness. Or maybe it was
How could you call him a star? That was like the worst thing I've ever watched. I would
Exactly.
rather watch women's basketball than watch that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the bad guy is still it can still be a star. So it's like, if you know, like they were the two stars.
He wasn't a bad guy. He literally just walked around.
Okay, well,
the
like I
entire
mean, like
fight.
I know, but he wasn't a bad guy. But like in the fact that, like, if you think it was a bad guy, I mean, a bad fight, it was caused by bad people.
Here's what
you know?
Jordan's going for. There's any publicity is good publicity.
No, I'm not even going there.
That's
It's
where
like,
he's going for.
honestly, like I remember that fight.
But you remember it as being the worst fight you've ever seen.
No, because being bored is, I would say, like a sign of badness during a fight. You know, like being bored and not entertained.
How were you
I
not
was-
entertained?
I was
How were
pretty
you
bored.
entertained?
No, it was like frustrating in a way. It's like okay, like no one likes a little teasing, like before, you know, like come on, it's like we all want to, you know, come on. So
I actually remember that was the fight where I started to fall asleep.
okay, well that's okay. Well, you know, it was the end of the night. You know,
He's a teenage boy. Like 12 o'clock is like starting time.
If a fight, like if I'm watching a fight and it puts me to sleep, that's how you know it was a terrible fight.
I mean,
You can't argue that.
I can't argue that. I wasn't going to. And he's kind of like, it's kind of going with my theory anyway. Like maybe, you know, it was just boring to him. To most people, it was boring. But you know what? Honestly, like I used to think that the grappling on the ground was boring because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Now that I've been watching for a couple years, like I can't wait to see him get on the ground. It's so I still don't understand what's going on, but now I know I don't understand, and I kind of like get 5% of it, so I can see when they trap a leg brick or whatever. Tonight, you know, I'm looking for things every time, and it's very interesting.
You can watch that fight a
But they're
million
gonna be
times
booing the
and
second
you
it
will
starts.
still not understand
Jordan,
what's going on.
here,
Of
let
course.
me put it to you this way. You
Because
know how
nothing's
crazy
going on.
Chris sounded all week about the steroid thing, right?
Right.
You sound that crazy about this fight.
Why? About the grappling?
No,
No,
because there
about
was
the-
no grappling. Just about the Francis fight, and
Oh,
then,
yeah. No.
that's how crazy you sound right
No,
now.
it wasn't as boring as other fights that night, even probably.
Most boring fight ever.
Okay. I mean, it was obviously,
So you just
but it was so boring that it's like the lowest. Like if you were at the lowest scoring game ever, that's kind of cool, right? Because it's like that's interesting. That's an interesting piece of history.
no, not at all.
Nobody wants to see a 3-2
Okay,
football
so
game.
let's go back to Volkov. Do you know anything about Volkov?
I mean, he's not Nikolai Volkov.
No, he's not. Definitely.
He's Alexander.
He is a
They
former
have two
Bellator champion. He's been doing really good in the UFC. Great fighter. He's definitely way more skilled than Derek Lewis, but he doesn't have the power that Derek Lewis has. But you know, that's Derek Lewis's fight. Every fight, you know, everybody's more skilled than Derek Lewis
Right.
that he's fought, but he still manages to win.
And I believe Khabib was talking about this Volkov guy at least a few fights ago before a fight. He was talking about all the different Russian fighters that he sees promise in, and Volkov was one of them.
Yeah, no, he's good. So that's it for the main card. The only other really important one is on the prelim is Sergio Pettis, Anthony's brother, facing Jussier Formiga. Should be a very fun, interesting fight. But, you know, we've got a little bit over a half hour left, and God knows we got to talk about the steroid.
In fact, I'd say the fight I'm looking
cheater.
forward to the most, well, maybe the Karate Girl, is Derek Lewis. I think Derek Lewis is the one that's the storyline I am most interested in.
His ass
after
better
Conor
show up.
Khabib.
His ass better show
Oh,
up.
yeah. He'll be dude, if not, I think he gets canned.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
If they better not let it go a round and a half of the same BS that like they should
Well,
both be disqualified.
But
if we see
Volkov
that
is a
again.
different fighter.
Yeah,
probably.
Volkov is a much different fighter, but just know this, that Derek Lewis has always been a slow starter. He is a counter striker. You know,
What
he's
should we
gonna
look
start
for
slow.
from Volkov? What should we look for from Volkov? What is
Just
he
a
known for?
well-rounded game. You know, he's not going to be the best wrestler. He's not going to be the best at anything. He's just very well-rounded.
Jack of all
skills.
trades, expert of none.
Yeah, you know, basically, you know, his defense isn't the best, you know, but it's serviceable, obviously. It's going to be interesting because, you know, I don't know
He's
if
good
he's
enough
going
for
to.
30 wins out of 36 fights.
Is it? I didn't even know
Yeah,
the record.
30 and 6.
I got it right here and I didn't even look.
But we don't know what that means. Like I see these Russian fights on YouTube. It's like if that's 45, if that's 25 of them. You know?
well, that's part of
In the
Khabib's.
sand.
That's part of Khabib's story.
No, for sure. But he got here with like what 16, I think it was, or 26. What's his record right now?
26-0.
He's 26 now. So I think he probably got here with 16.
You're right. Yeah. He's got
So they
10
both
fights
have-
in the
so they
UFC.
both have 10 fights.
Yeah, they both have 10 fights. So what do we go first? Do we
Probably
go to-
6 to 7 each ended in the first round.
So here's the problem. I feel like we shouldn't text each other before a show because I feel exhausted from our
Oh,
conversation this week.
you were so exhausting. It was not even funny.
You
I
were
honestly
exhausting.
can't believe, like, you, I know, are not going to get fired. I can't. Like, I'm amazed that you have a job still.
Oh, man, listen.
I do not know how you don't get fired.
Chris America does his thing.
Yeah, you are amazing. You really are
Yeah.
a superhero.
True American hero, right? there.
True American hero.
Right there.
True American hero, right there.
And it's
All right.
it would be amazing to think about how quickly you could get work done if you didn't text. Like, imagine you could probably work. Oh yeah,
Bro, let's,
okay, my bad.
Come on. We're live on the. I don't need people knowing my secrets.
Yeah,
out
let's
here.
not
There
not
could be certain
post where
people
he,
listening that
let's not post where he works or anything like that. We don't need.
we don't need to talk about me getting done earlier than I should be, when that's pretty much the majority of my job is. All right, so we are
moving on.
We are 22 days away from one of the greatest fighters of all time being reactivated, and that is my boy John Jones.
Yes.
Disgusting.
Yeah, he is.
Terrible person.
He is a terrible
He is
person.
terrible.
Yes,
I agree.
Jacob.
I
He
agree.
is. He is.
Terrible
I agree.
person.
He is. He is a great fighter. Nobody denies that. The
Yeah.
problem, here's the thing. We all went back and forth all week, the three of us, and it was crazy because Chris America, okay, he swears that you don't take steroids to become a better
It
athlete.
doesn't make you better. It just makes you stronger.
Makes you stronger.
But
It
that's
makes you better.
part of better.
No, it's not.
In a lot of circumstances. Okay, but first of all, what
I wish we had a camera on
what
Jacob's
athlete
face to like get the reaction.
I know.
Because he hasn't
What-
heard him. This is like his gut
what
reaction.
athlete do you think Lance Armstrong took steroids?
Lance
because he-
Armstrong didn't take steroids. He blood doped, which means he ran his
Oh,
blood
my
outside of his body,
God.
oxygenated it, and put it back in so he would have better
Chris
stamina.
is a cheater
to,
lover.
They can do
no,
that.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like Lance
I'm not
Armstrong
gonna-
at all.
I'm
But
not
I'm just
gonna-
saying it's Lance
I'm not gonna
Armstrong-
argue that
what
'cause I
Lance
don't know.
Armstrong
You're
totally
just doing
did is
semantics.
totally
He
different.
cheated with
No, I don't know the
Because
story. I can't
90%
argue.
of Tour de France is having great stamina.
foreign substances now. No more whatever you.
I don't know that, so I can't argue there. I thought it was steroids, but okay, the baseball players, yes, it made them stronger. I get it, but that
Right.
also made them into better hitters. And I know what your argument is about the the OBP or whatever the hell it is, but it doesn't matter. It made them more money.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only difference is John
And-
Jones was not on the cusp of the cutting edge technology. He was using like 80s stupid shit. You know, they actually used modern day stuff. He went back to like the 80s to get his stuff.
Wait. So you don't think that the steroids made John Jones a better fighter?
No. There's a difference between.
It's true, and he'll defend it for like hours.
Oh, days.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's the conversation. Here's the point of the conversation. So, does it make John Bones Jones a? Well, I don't know what his record is, but let's say it's 25-1 versus 24 and 2. No, it doesn't. Like
How do
he
you know
didn't.
that?
He didn't beat.
yeah,
he didn't
what,
beat
like-
DC because he took steroids. He beat DC
All these
because he
different
is
statements.
a
Just throw 'em out
much
there.
no. He's a much more skilled fighter than DC is. Had he kicked DC square in the face just like he did without steroids, DC's ass either would have been just the same as knocked out because steroids doesn't give you that much of a better kick to where if you get kicked square in the face, you're not going to get knocked out. If he doesn't,
Chris, why do you think they
hold
take
on.
them?
If he doesn't even get knocked out, he gets knocked down on the ground. John Bones Jones jumps on top of him and he beats his ass anyways.
So hypothetical.
Do you hear yourself?
I do hear
Seriously.
myself. So no. You explain to me how taking steroids would have made John Bones Jones lose the fight to DC.
All I'm gonna say is in the first fight, the first time
Right.
they fought, who won? John Jones.
John Jones.
Why? He was on steroids. Okay.
No, he
Second
wasn't
fight,
on steroids the first fight.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
His whole career is on steroids at
No,
this point.
you have zero
Okay.
evidence of that.
Okay. Next
You have
fight.
zero evidence that he'd be just as good of a fighter if he didn't take steroids. So don't tell me about zero evidence.
No, I mean, like, his is like, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Yours is just like, there's this logic that could happen that leads him to be right. Like, yours is just lacking all logic.
Yours doesn't have any logic.
No,
like,
it's like-
explain it.
No.
Explain how.
Why-
Explain
no,
how the
wh-
steroids help him beat DC.
all other
Okay,
things being
can I?
equal,
Yeah, go
they
ahead.
improve by one click, and you're one click better. It's done.
Okay, hear me out without cutting me off,
Right.
right?
You're
Okay.
weird.
So
You don't even have a side.
So a fighter, okay, or any athlete, football players included. Let's take Julian Edelman, right?
Right.
He took these steroids, okay, so that he could recover quicker.
Okay.
Okay. And while he's doing that, it helps him train harder. Okay. So
Right.
if your fighter is taking steroids from the get-go, which of course we don't know, but to me his whole career is tainted.
That's fine.
Okay? But not only does it help them train harder, okay, train better, okay, it makes them stronger. And in the fight game, strength is a huge difference.
It can be.
It is, okay? If you hit harder, you're going to hurt more. And I mean, it's just...
I don't understand. Like, that's the core of the issue right there, Chris, I think.
No,
I'm
because
not sure
I
yet,
look at
but
guys like Nagano who's super strong and he's a
but
shitty
that's all.
fighter.
It's all
and it
other,
doesn't
Chris.
matter
But you're
what
comparing
what
apples
strength
to
he has.
oranges.
I'm
You're the
not.
same. No, you are. You're going from different fighters.
You're saying stronger makes you better.
all
and that's
other things
not
being
true.
equal
Chris,
is
How
how
could that
the
not be
language
true?
works.
Chris, you said you were going to let me finish.
all
I know
other
I got
things
cut
Well,
off.
he's the one that
equal.
interrupted
It's
you, not
weird.
Jordan, you get yours right after me,
It's
okay?
so
You get yours right after
weird.
me.
I
okay?
don't have anything to say.
Okay, but here's the thing. So if you're a great athlete,
Right.
okay, and John Jones he's tremendous, man. He is one of the best fighters we'll ever see. I never denied that, okay? You cannot deny that if he was taking steroids, it could make him a better fighter, okay? There's no denying that. That's why he took the steroids. He didn't take steroids to be the same guy. Why would you take steroids to be the same guy and know that you have a chance of losing your career and losing your belts? You wouldn't. You do it. It's a risk you take. It's a chance you take. All these athletes who have ever done it know that risk, but they do it to become better.
You're saying the difference is the difference between your opinion and my opinion is a fraction of a second of miscommunication.
But that's
Okay, no.
that's where championships are won. We're talking
No.
about the highest professionals.
Because my
in the
thing
world.
is, and I've always said to you, John Bones Jones would have the exact same record with or without the steroids, and that's what makes John Bones Jones an idiot. Because
I don't
he
agree with
doesn't
that,
need
though.
the steroids.
But I don't agree with that.
When you look at his instincts, you look at his timing in the ring, you look at his fighting styles, he didn't get an 84 or 86-inch reach from steroids. That's just natural-born, God-given ability, like body size and shape. He doesn't hit his spinning elbows with perfection because he takes steroids. He didn't hit that kick square in the face with perfection because of steroids. He did it because he is a pure striker, a pure fighter, and a pure wrestler, and everything about him is just skilled. So it's just like when I gave you the Barry Bonds incident. There's no difference between a 450-foot home run and a 365-foot home run. A home run's a home run. Did Barry Bonds hit the ball stronger? Sure he did.
Did he hit
but,
more home runs?
Okay, so he hit more home runs. But did that make him a better baseball player? I guess if you think stats makes you a better player, but his swing was the same. His eye-hand coordination was the same. Everything about Barry Bonds was the same, except for maybe each ball that he hit went 20 feet further.
Did you have something to say there, Jacob?
So in any sport at all,
Right.
Of course in MMA fighting and stuff, it's not all about strength,
Right.
and everything. But take any sport, like a basketball player, for example, or a football player. If they're on steroids and they're getting stronger, they're also going to train harder in every aspect
Right.
of their game.
Right.
So steroids is going to enhance not only their strength, but every part of what they're doing in their fight.
Right.
And
So it enhances things, but it doesn't make you.
But it doesn't
you're
make them
missing,
better.
You're missing
It
the thing.
enhances them, but it doesn't make it better.
You guys are missing the point.
It
It doesn't
enhances
make
them.
you a better fighter. Maybe it makes your strength better.
Contradicting your own point.
I'm not, because again,
They're also.
Okay,
we did not
no.
tell them what we say, and
No.
they're saying the same thing. You do not
Here's-
understand how the words
no.
work. It's the
No.
basic idea of the words.
hey, listen. You guys
Better means more.
No.
Better is a word. It's called a comparative
Better
adjective.
doesn't mean
It's
more,
used
first
to
of all.
compare it. It means more.
Better doesn't mean
it
more.
means more of whatever.
more
you're
is a
better
measurement,
at.
better is an opinion.
You don't understand. We talked about this, Chris. You don't understand. They're both opinions, unless they're both
Listen.
facts, which are both opinions probably.
Here's the thing.
But more is
No.
in better in strength is more strength.
Let me ask you
better
this.
in tables is
Does
more
steroids
goodness of
teach you how to
quality of
punch?
table.
Does steroids teach you how to punch?
Okay, you just...
Now, let me ask you this. Does steroids
Okay,
teach you
I
how
think
to
we
punch?
need to move
No.
on. This is not.
Does steroids teach you how to hit a baseball?
Should
No.
we be listening to a
Does
Gator fan?
steroids teach you how to throw a football?
No. Get to
Does
your
it
point,
teach
please.
you how to be accurate?
Just make your point
so
so
my
I can
point
rebut.
is, steroids. If steroids doesn't do any of those things at all, how does it make you better at throwing, better at punching, better at?
Okay,
shooting a basketball. You still need to know the skills. You still need to know the instincts.
I let you
ahead,
rebuttal
go
on
ahead.
my thing, and now I'm going to ask you to do the same, okay? And Jacob made the point for me. He probably said it better than I did, okay? The fact of the matter is, they don't teach you how to do anything. Nobody's saying that. John Jones is a great athlete. John Jones would be great without steroids.
He's a great fighter.
John Jones would be great without steroids.
He wouldn't be as tall, though.
He would be great without steroids. Nobody's saying that.
Right.
I cannot say that his record would be the same because of what Jacob just said, okay? If you get to train harder at everything you do because you're taking steroids, that makes you a little bit better at everything you do because you're training harder at everything you do. Not only that, but it's a mental thing. You take steroids, it makes you feel better. It makes you believe that you are better than maybe you are, okay? Nobody's denying anything about how great John Jones is.
You are denying it.
No, we're
because
just...
this whole conversation
Oh my
started
God.
by me calling John Jones a prodigy, and you said, he's no prodigy.
And my reasoning behind that is I can't consider anybody a prodigy that gets busted twice for steroids.
Right.
And you've heard me say this from the get-go. I've always said you get one free pass, one mistake. After that, you're done to me, okay? And if it was a tainted supplement, I could give it to him. And I love how he comes out saying that, they proved me innocent. No, they didn't prove you
That's Chris
innocent
logic.
at all.
Chris logic.
They didn't prove
I
you
mean, he
innocent
did
at
also
all.
say that it was a small
Oh,
amount,
yeah,
which I don't know if that's true.
salt in an Olympic pool, okay?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. The point is they didn't prove your innocence. All they said is, there's a good chance that maybe you did it by accident. But these other people who get their sentences reduced, it's because they prove it's from a tainted supplement. You know?
I don't approve of this conversation. I feel like we should go to the fight. Let's go to the fight.
We
Or the
got
John
pun-
Jones
we got-
speculation or something like that. Like whether steroids make him better.
No,
is
we've
not
been
an
going
okay-
a week
This is
at
not an
this.
okay conversation.
Why
It's
is
really
this not an
See,
okay?
this is
Tell me
why we shouldn't have had it in text, because you're already tired of it. I'm already
No,
tired of it.
it wasn't okay on text. I didn't respond to you, but like a few times, you guys were going back and forth. It's just not an acceptable conversation for me to have in any.
All right, so basically,
More
Chris
than better,
agrees
better,
with
something.
everybody else in the room, and we're going to have to leave it at that, okay? That's it. You have your view, we have our view.
No, I mean, obviously.
I think in the end, like I said, the difference in view is a hair of miscommunication. Because I do think that, yes, you guys think that
no. This
enhancing
is fundamental miscommunication.
You guys think enhancing things means it's automatically better.
No, I'm not saying it's automatically.
When
I'm
is
saying,
John Jones going to fight?
I'm saying that
Hopefully in
he takes
December.
them.
No, they say it's not happening, right? December's already announced, right? December's the Madison Square Garden card. We have two main events. We have two co-main events, from what I understand. There was heavy speculation, but
That doesn't mean first of all, there's two events in December.
Okay.
I believe there's
There's
one
one at
right
the end
before
of the
New
year.
Year's.
so Madison Square Garden is not the December 29th.
I don't
thing.
know which
Okay.
one is.
Yeah.
I don't know. And either way you put it, if Dana White can get John Jones on a
He'll
card
do
this
it.
year, he'll do it.
Right, but there was speculation that he's already said no to these fights because he wasn't ready, I think.
Well, here's the thing. Gustafsson supposedly has put his name on the line. He's ready to go. Okay. What is happening is John Jones. This is another thing that pisses me off about John Jones. He's actually not signing because he wants more money.
Yes. Chael's been going on all this week about how
I love Chael.
He hasn't
He's
been
the
naming,
best.
He hasn't been talking about John Jones by name every time, but he's just been railing against these fake tough guys. He calls them,
Yeah.
where they talk all this game. And back in the day, like they would fight 3 times in one day. He would say sometimes, and also just like they wouldn't need the points on the pay-per-view like John Jones is demanding. He would just like, you know what? I'm back. I want a title shot. I'm gonna fucking fight whoever's in front
Here's
of me.
what I don't get. You just got busted, okay? You're coming back because you snitched. Otherwise, you could have easily had 4 years. You had to snitch on other people so that you could come back early. And here you are demanding more money. I don't fucking get it. What is wrong with this guy,
He's
man?
John Jones.
Is he going to move the card? Is he going to move the needle?
He's
He will.
100% he
He
will.
deserves the
Okay.
money. And you
So-
know what? Whatever the market's going to bear, he's going to get.
Exactly.
He's going to hold out, and it's going to get his points, and everything's going to be fine in his land. But that still doesn't mean that we don't judge him like he's.
Oh,
a
yeah, go
piece
ahead and
of
judge
I
him.
don't have to
shit.
like it. I'm not saying he
Go ahead
won't
and
get
judge
it.
him.
This guy.
You
This
just
guy.
you coming off of a suspension. Just fight your fucking fight
But
and then
that's
fight
why
for your
I
money.
Don't like him. He has no self-awareness, he has no morals and values at all. He is just a second at a time, a minute at a time, an hour at a time. John Jones. It doesn't matter if you're pregnant or hit. It doesn't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a competitor and work your life off and you want a fair fight. It just doesn't matter to John Jones.
I got to, being a recovering addict, right? I give John Jones a little bit of slack in the whole hitting a pregnant woman because, like, look, dude, he's a drug addict, and he hit some pregnant lady.
He hit a pregnant lady's
Okay, wait, hold
car.
on. Yeah, let me rephrase that. Chris hates when I say that. No.
I think it's okay to
So he gets in a car accident, and he's the reason he hit her. It was his fault, okay? Hits a pregnant lady that was driving. The car hits the pregnant lady's car. He gets out of the car and runs away.
Yeah, of course.
And then he comes
Story's
back.
not over.
Then he comes back to get his weed, okay?
Came back.
Now,
Weed's important, man.
I can really excuse him
now,
the first time.
But here's the thing.
When your conscience is
Okay,
when
but-
you're not conscious yet, you're not self-aware yet.
But here's the thing, as a recovering addict, right? I could totally see myself doing that.
No. Here's
When
the thing.
I was getting high all the time.
I can go there with you. Go there with you, and like that's what I'm saying. I can go there with you for the first trip under all context. Almost, you run away in that heat of the moment. You're not a bad person if you convince yourself to do a bad thing in that moment. When you come back, we're getting into hazy terror. I can still, as a drug addict, excuse you, but my mind says take the weed, hide it in a fucking bush. And take your, call anonymously, do something, go to her and be like, dude, I'm running away right now, but like, are you good?
A normal person would do that.
And still,
But an addict would not.
And still save yourself.
A normal person would do that, but an addict most likely would not.
Let's keep in mind here that this was not a man, night after night in some hole going to some dark dealer. He was out partying one night. Because even if he did cocaine habitually or all the drugs in the world habitually, he didn't do them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He wasn't a junkie. He was perhaps an addict, perhaps a heavy user, perhaps an irresponsible user. Label it
We'll call him a binge user, even though we don't know.
Exactly. So he wasn't like this, if anything that night, as far as his mental state, I would just say he was fucked up. He was trashed or whatever it was. So he wasn't thinking clearly. But your conscience still, like, I've been trashed, and that's what I'm saying. It's like I can be a piece of shit and leave the first time. I can be a piece of shit and leave the second time, but only under the right circumstances the second time. Like I just don't see much room for.
Dude, he had to
there's
get
just
his
not room for
bud.
Now
He just came down off his bus.
get your bud, hide your bud, so the drugs don't find all that stuff. I'm with you, but do something about it. Now. The thing is that all that can be erased. Depending on every single interview you get, you can give shitty interview after shitty interview after shitty interview.
I wish I could be a
and
PR
still
guy.
redeem yourself with the next interview, but he never does because he is a piece of shit.
He's the most unhumble guy I've ever.
I would kill it in PR.
He's just so
PR is so easy, and
He's so
athletes and
fake.
politicians and all of them, they screw it up. And I'm like, how do you mess this up? You have money to pay people to tell you what to say and what to do.
Man, he's just like this got this like
I agree.
relaxed, like laissez-faire fucking voice. He doesn't care about anything. He's all cool, but he's talking about this like serious stuff. It's like, hey, are you ready to like redeem your life and get back? I don't know, man. He's like, Jesus.
I know the Jesus. Oh my God.
whatever. Like, just, man,
Jesus told me to do rails of coke every night.
so fake.
I loved when the fakeness. Like you remember, I disliked John Jones before this, right? But when DC fought him the first time, and DC is sitting there doing that interview, and then he's saying how fake John Jones is, and then all of a sudden the cameras are off, but the sound's still going.
And what happened?
Oh, he started like
He changed
when
completely?
180.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck you up. Blah 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 blah. I have
so
no idea what was
awesome.
said. I'm
That's
totally
so
making
awesome.
this up right now. Okay, but
something like that.
total
Some
180.
dramatic change.
Yeah, so it was great.
And that's
It was great.
understandable, like to some degree. It's like we can never like go on an interview. I don't talk like this for some reason. Like I don't know. Like I guess I'm probably talking somewhat like I normally talk. But when we're in these different circumstances, whether it's on the phone or somewhere, we take on these different voices. So it's understandable that you're not going to talk on a video interview on the news exactly how you're going to talk directly to Daniel Cormier, but the whole personality.
Yeah,
changed.
it
That's
was.
not what
It
this
was. Yeah, it was a total 180. So let's do it, guys. What do you say? We want to get to the main event?
Let's do it.
We still haven't
Yeah.
gotten there yet?
Okay.
I mean, we touched on it a little bit.
The main event is it's like the real UFC. The main event doesn't come on until 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
I got to save it for the last, man.
Love that.
Yes.
Love driving.
Khabib versus Conor. So I know that Chris America and Jordan both have Khabib winning this. What about you, Jacobs? What do you think?
McGregor.
How, when, what? Oh my God, he's got the hat. I love Jordan. He's awesome.
McGregor. I'm gonna stick to my prediction, just like I predicted last time. McGregor first round knockout.
First round knockout. Nice. And Jacob number 2. Come on now. A little too much.
No dead
Khabib.
Huh?
Khabib.
Yeah, Team Khabib.
What will you give us the round or how you see it finishing?
Second round. What? Knockout.
Habib with the second down knockout? Are you crazy?
He can.
Jacob, I think your friend Jacob number 2 smokes some dope.
No, I can see it. I can see Khabib pummeling him down to the mat and just utterly beating his face
sure.
in until
Second round?
Yeah,
Why not?
A TKO or a knockout.
I mean, whatever does it make it in the second round or fourth? I mean, it can happen in any moment.
Okay, if we're calling it TKO and knockout, then I can see it. I'll cut off. I'll cut that off.
That's his
I'll cut
move,
that off.
actually. He wins by TKO a lot.
If
Yeah.
we're calling it TKO and knockout, I'm good. I'm good. And let's just tell everybody here that Jordan, not only is he wearing the Khabib shirt, but he got the Khabib hat, and he looks amazing.
It smells like real lamb or whatever the animal is, sheep or lamb.
Let me see that shirt.
Oh my God. Okay, so Jacob, I can't do Snapchat. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So Snapchat this up for me on mine, okay?
Of course.
Oh, okay, Jacob number 2's got me. Okay, yeah, we got to Snapchat this.
Ready?
This is awesome. Stand up, give me the shirt, man. I want to see the shirt. He's got the fight shirt on and everything.
Flex.
Oh, look at this guy, dude. He's man. And you know what? Here's the best thing. My man Jordan over here's got championship belts. It might not be for UFC, but he's got belts. He could easily go get one and put one on. We'll take a picture of that later.
Maybe. I thought about it earlier this week, but it would just be so cheesy because it's an NXT wrestling belt. I just don't think I want to mix them.
Okay, no,
I think
that's
it's like
cool.
Star Wars and Star
But
Trek.
if you just held it over and you put your hand over the NXT,
I get it, but I haven't earned it. I got to buy a UFC belt to earn it.
Okay, that'd be cool, man. You look dope, dude. I got to tell you,
thank
man.
you.
I'm very impressed.
Thank you,
This was
thank
a
you.
surprise.
I was-
He's got all these pictures up, cheer
I wasn't
lover,
sure if I should wear the
champ,
hat
champ.
out unless he won, because when he puts it on at the interview. But then I was like, oh, if he doesn't win, I don't have to use the hat.
Oh,
So,
no, you got it. You did the right call, man. This is beautiful. I'm impressed. So, basically, we got 2 people here rooting for Khabib. Rooting for Conor, I'm sorry, because I think Conor is going to surprise the world, shock the world one more time, and knock Khabib the fuck out.
I want to make it very clear here that I am a rational, logical human being, so I don't confuse the fact that I'm rooting for Khabib to enter the conversation of what I think will happen. Those are 2 different conversations to me. So I like Khabib. I like Conor. I like Khabib without any exceptions, and so that puts me in the corner of Khabib because I just like him when he talks. I feel like I'm in Khabib's corner, but I like Conor in some ways too. I just dislike Conor in some ways too, but it doesn't have anything to do with the fight. What the fight is just completely and utterly unpredictable, like any fight is. But in this one in particular, like both of these guys are fairly, like I was saying earlier, they feel untested to me. I just watched all of their fights, and there's 10 fights each. I would say like 6 of them, without keeping track.
In the UFC, guys.
In the UFC, for sure. Ended. I did go back and watch a couple of previews, but that's not what I'm talking about. The bottom line is that I think a large majority, 60 to 70% of their fights ended in the first round through some like magical stuff, especially with Conor. A lot of magical stuff that might have not been magical. It might have been, obviously, if it happens over and over again, it's not magical, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like everything is luck and preparation, a mixture of it, but every event is a different combination of luck and preparation. And anytime there's a 1-second knockout of Jose Aldo, or whatever, and that's just a symbol of what's going on. Because even when he got out of a tussle with the Mendez guy or whatever after 2 rounds of like fury, it was still like pop, 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 done. It didn't have to go that way necessarily. It did go that way, but they're both kind of these crazy dominant fighters that we have. Because they're so dominant, we haven't seen that much of them.
All right, so I got to ask a question. Since the biggest thing for UFC media to do, and Chael Sonnen and all these other guys like to ask this, like, oh, let's make Conor McGregor the GOAT. No, now we're going to make DC the GOAT. If Khabib wins tonight, 27-0, beats Conor McGregor, is he the GOAT?
Just like I said about DC, okay? I didn't say he was the GOAT. I say he's in the
I
conversation.
didn't say you did. I said everybody
know,
else in MMA.
I'm just because you know I love DC, and I'm just making it out there. I'm not saying DC is the GOAT. I'm saying he's involved in the conversation. Khabib, if he wins the belt, is definitely involved in the conversation. I'm not going to say, look, man, the greatest of all time, so far from what we've seen, to me, is still going to be Demetrius Johnson or Jose Aldo. Those two right now. But, at the same point, seeing what DC has done, I love putting him in there. GSP is so hard, man. It's so hard. But I got to give Khabib his props. I mean, dude, the guy in 26 fights has never lost a round.
That's insane.
He's not. Okay. It's not that he hasn't lost
a
fight. He hasn't lost a round.
But in his, I gotta say though, I would want to see the scorecards. Even just no, seriously, I've heard that stat bandied.
There might be some hanging chads.
I have something to say. I've heard that stat bandied about this last week, and it surprised me because what I have here,
especially
in my
if they're
notes
in Russia,
and there's, I believe it was his second fight. I don't want to read my notes; they're too messy. And I believe it was his second fight, maybe against Dos Anjos. They were surprised he won the decision. So Joe Rogan and everybody was expecting the opponent to win. I believe it was his second fight in the UFC, and he won. So in my notes, tell me what it was. Yeah, so it wasn't Dos Anjos. So I'm going with the second fight no matter what. I was speculating about Dos Anjos. It wasn't Dos Anjos. So whatever it was, he was in there, and there was him. I'm not attaching to any names right now. I do not know what pay-per-view it was or what fight night it was. There was a fight early in his career, second or third fight, I believe it was, where Joe Rogan, who was commentating, so it was probably a pay-per-view, not necessarily, was surprised that he won the 3-round decision. Okay, so that stat, when I heard that he had never even lost a round, really surprised me because if they thought he was going to lose the fight, it would have been crazy for all 3 judges to give all 3 rounds to the opponent. I mean, to Khabib. So I would like to see the scorecards from that night.
It was
so he's won all rounds and maybe 3 other rounds.
So before I even heard that stat, I was going to come on here and be like, listen, I know he's undefeated, and that's on paper for sure, but I don't know what that means because...
It was probably the second fight because Gleason, what's his name? Gleason Tebow starched him really hard, man, in one of the rounds, and it was probably that fight. I don't know.
His strength of schedule is probably stronger than Alabama's. Let's put it that way, though.
And I remember being surprised that Joe Rogan said that because I was watching the fight and did not see what Joe Rogan saw. So I was surprised that Joe Rogan said that. It made an impression on me.
I'm going to, take this from an outsider's perspective, somebody that doesn't really watch UFC. You talk about GOATs in different sports. You'll hear of Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi in soccer, but you don't hear of Luka Modric, somebody one of the best midfielders in the world. Not a lot of people know about him. It's kind of like that here.
You lost 90% of our audience.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? He's just not famous, so he doesn't enter the conversation?
I'm just trying to get into this. You think UFC, you hear UFC from an outsider's perspective. You think DC, you think McGregor, all these big names. You don't. I've never heard of Khabib before I came in here tonight.
And I think that I think that is a sign of something. And I think that just any time a current fighter is mentioned in a greatest of all time conversation, I'm skeptical because we remember and think about things that happened more recently than less recently. And so it's just a human flaw that we think about things more recently. And so it's a human flaw that we'll think of current fighters as the best in the world when they're not the best in the world. And to think that Khabib even enters the conversation when he hasn't really fought anybody of substance big time. He's fought some top 10 fighters no matter what, so definitely of substance, but that's all we can say is some top 10 fighters.
I mean, honestly, you say that and it brings up a good point to me.
And they weren't big money. This is his first big pressure fight, in my opinion.
That, to me, is an indictment on UFC. This should.
I think it's an indictment on you and whoever has
not,
these conversations about who the best in the world is. With
no. I'm saying the fact that this is the first time he's heard of Khabib. That's an indictment on UFC.
I agree with you.
No, it is to a degree, but it is to compared to what though? What could they have done? I mean, if you're to
promote him,
no, Conor McGregor is not as household of a name as you think it is. When you go to real people, not just people you know in your social circles, but who don't watch UFC, but they're kind of aware that you do even.
If you follow sports, you know who Conor McGregor is.
Yeah, but that's not as many people as you think.
No, I understand that. But I'm saying I don't...
But he follows sports.
Right. I'm not expecting, Susan, who watches,
Totally, but
Survivor,
it's
to
good
know
'cause he follows
to even
sports,
know
so
who
he's
LeBron
in the
James is.
sphere.
You know what I mean?
But for sure, I would say like to get from wrestling, it's even harder to get a crossover. But it's the same basic idea. It's like even if you're a top tier wrestler or the best wrestler for 20 years, and like Famous sells the T-shirts and stuff like that, like not just a good wrestler, but a good marketing product. It doesn't mean anyone's going to know you outside of wrestling. And I think it's a similar situation to this. Only the top one or two through some magical personality thing or some event become mainstream. Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, because they were back in the day, Tank Abbott, the black guy, the Street Fighter, what was it?
And that's why I hate this whole
Kimbo
GOAT
Slice.
conversation with UFC, because we're totally ignoring that era and how deep and talented that was. I mean,
I'm
mentioned
not ignoring that. The
I
only
know you're
person-
not, but I'm saying
the only
like
person I
other
forgot
people.
the only person I forgot out of that conversation is Fedor Emelianenko.
What about Randy Couture or somebody like that?
I love Randy Couture,
But he's not a part
I
of the
don't think
com-
he's part of the
He just
best
wasn't
of
as
all
good
time.
as these guys.
No, he was great, man. 2-division champion.
Yeah, but he wasn't as good as these
he's-
guys, the rounded or whatever. It was.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like times have changed. It's like, people don't want to ever say that LeBron's better than Michael, but at the same point, you ask the younger kids like these, like the Jacobs over here, and they'll probably tell you LeBron's way better
Well,
than
that
Michael.
doesn't matter.
I don't know. Okay, well, I'm just saying.
No, but that doesn't matter either. It matters what a real technician, a real fan of basketball through the generations
fighting
looks
has
at it. A
grown
mature thinker.
so much more immensely. Like a Chuck Liddell in the day, could not beat, in his prime. In my opinion, Chuck Liddell's not beating DC in his prime.
Right. It's so obvious
'cause it's,
that
it's
like
grown. The sport has grown. There's
it was
so
they
much
were the
more to
cavemen
it.
of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would like to see a prime Rashad Evans, a prime Rampage
It's like no,
against
it's like
DC.
Rashad's overrated.
But
Chill.
might be, but so could DC. DC could be overrated.
No, but DC's in the
think
modern
so.
times. Like Chael's been talking a lot this week about how there's no wrestling anymore. He's been talking about this. Have you heard about him talk about this? He's been talking about grappling because he's saying back in the day he's saying it's a misconception. He thinks that Khabib Conor tonight is the third version of puncher versus wrestler that we've seen this year. Stipe,
Yeah, I heard that.
He's been pushing that, so he thinks that
He thinks Khabib's winning.
He's pretty adamant about it. But on this wrestling thing, just generally speaking, and this is not about Khabib or DC, but obviously it talks about them both. He was saying, like wrestling used to be this thing that was your advantage, and so Conor's disadvantage tonight back in the day. But now it's not so much wrestling because now everyone's so trained on what to do on their back and when they're on the ground. Back in the day, it's like if you got taken down by a wrestler, you didn't know what the fuck to do, and you were done. This is what he was saying. Nowadays, it's so much about, first of all, you can get out and learn how to defend yourself, but also like there's just all this punching and strategy involved that isn't wrestling. It's mixed martial arts. It's a different sport. So learning how to get your guy down isn't enough anymore because people know how to be down, and you need to learn how to throw the punches and the elbows and the submissions and all that stuff and mix it all together. And he's like one thing is wrestling, one thing is grappling, and another thing is mixed martial arts. Like once you add this, then once you add that, and it's like, okay, so I forget how we started on this, but
Yeah,
I mean,
we
I
started
don't know
talking
that
about the
that's-
GOAT when we shouldn't have. We should be focusing on
Right.
Khabib and
I don't-
Conor.
yeah, I will say that.
But
I
that
don't know
does
how
have something
much
to
true
do
that
with
is
tonight.
when Shogun and Machida are two of the best BJJ fighters of
what's
all
BJJ?
time.
What's BJJ?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and most of that is you want to be on your back.
But we
you
yeah,
want
it-
the fight to go to the ground.
And so they know what. So now everyone's trained probably in jujitsu to some degree, just like everyone knows how to punch and wrestle.
Well,
and
that's
stuff
the
like that
thing.
to some
It
degree.
used to be martial art versus martial art, and now it's mixed martial
Exactly,
arts, and everybody,
exactly.
people don't just train in one thing anymore.
And that
I
does
think
have
that's
to do
the
with
point.
tonight because I just saw in that Mendez fight. That's what he did, man. He was getting like just decimated by Chad Mendez for the whole round. And then he got out through some like slippage, or maybe Mendez tried to do a different mount or something like that. Conor got up, punched him a few times, and won.
Dude,
Because he knew how to survive.
Are we
on his
getting
back.
cut off, Chris?
Yeah, we will get cut off in 2 minutes.
He knew how to
So
survive
we
on his
need
back.
we need fight predictions. I say Conor knocks him the fuck out in round 2.
I say he grinds him. He just wrestles him. He tires him out. And round 4, he gets him down and just pummels him into TKO. And that's Khabib.
I don't make predictions unless I have one.
McGregor first round knockout.
McGregor first round knockout.
I called the DC
I'm
first round
pulling a
knockout.
Conor right now. Give me that fucking hat.
I think the fight might last 5 rounds or end in 1 second. That's how. I mean, like, and
That's a good prediction.
it's just-
I respect that.
but I mean, like, it's the only one that's.
Promise it
rash-
doesn't end in 1 second.
It's the only thing. But when I say that, I mean within 30 or a minute. You know, early in the first round, because I really think it's the only thing rational to think can happen.
Oh, and that's it. Are we cut off?
We're about to be.
All right. Hey,
All right,
guys.
guys.
Thank you for
I
joining
will
us.
visit you in the world where more is not better.
Thank you.
Sign us off.
Swagger soul.
Even if more of less, more littleness, more simpleness is still better.